The cold October wind chased yellowed leaves down the cracked village road as a sleek black SUV slowly rolled into the main street of Berezovka. Heavy leaden clouds loomed above the crooked rooftops, casting a bleak and hopeless air over the sleepy little town. Maxim Mironov gripped the steering wheel tighter. 16 years had passed since he'd last been here. 16 long years he'd spent trying to erase this place from his memory. Why did I even come back? The question struck him hard. He could have gone anywhere, Europasia, the Maldives. He had the money even after the collapse of his business. But instead, something deep, unspoken, and unresolved had pulled him back to this forgotten corner of the world. A face flickered in his mind. Igor, his former business partner. I'll take out a loan. We'll double it in a month. Easy, Igor had promised. A week later, he vanished without a trace. And with all the money, leaving Maxim drowning in debts worth millions. Driving past the old village shop, Maxim noticed two elderly women turn their heads to follow the luxury car. Strangers were rare here, expensive cars. Even more so, I wonder if they'll recognize me. But he didn't slow down. There it was, the familiar turn. His heart picked up its pace. The house appeared suddenly, worn and tired, with peeling gray paint. Yet it was unmistakably the same. The porch was more slanted now, and the apple tree in the yard had grown wild and unkempt. Maxim stopped at the gate and turned off the engine. For several long moments, he just sat there staring blankly ahead. Yegorka, you little bastard, get over here, didn't you hear me? The voice of his mother, drunk and furious, echoed from the depths of his memory. He was 15 again, hiding his school report card, every grade an A. She'd been surprisingly sober that day, even made dinner. I found a job, Maximka. Things are going to change. And for 3 short days, they had hoped, 3 rare, bright days. Then came her first paycheck, new drinking buddies, his school books thrown in the mud when he dared to argue. And then, the last night, she stood there wild-eyed, bottle in hand, screaming, swinging, a shattered vase. I'll kill you myself if I see your face again. And then, the dark streets, a backpack, the first bus out of town at dawn. The silent promise, never come back. He shook his head, snapping out of it. No, he wasn't that frightened boy anymore. He was Maxim Mironov, the man who built a logistics empire from scratch, or what was left of it. Exhaling sharply, he opened the door. The cold air hit his lungs, carrying the sense of smoke, damp wood and rotting leaves. He walked up to the leaning gate, one he had once repaired as a child, and pushed it open. The rusted hinges shrieked, sending a chill up his spine. The yard, surprisingly, looked tidy. Someone had swept the paths. Stacked firewood was neatly arranged by the shed. This wasn't his mother's doing. She'd stopped caring about details like this long ago. He hadn't even reached the porch when the front door swung open. A woman stepped out. She was in her early 30s, slim, wearing a simple calico dress under a thick knitted sweater. A long chestnut braid rested over her shoulder. Her eyes, a striking cornflower blue, locked onto him, cautious but unafraid. Who are you? Her voice was clear, steady. What do you want? Maxim froze. He'd prepared himself for many things, but not this. Not her. Not this stranger with eyes like the summer sky. I'm Maxim Mironov. This is my house. My mother's Anna Petrovna. The woman's eyes widened. She took a slow step down from the porch, never looking away from him. You're the Maxim, she said, almost in disbelief. I thought you were a story. Something the old ladies at the store made up. There was something in her voice, something that made him uneasy. I don't understand. Who are you? What are you doing in my mother's house? She crossed her arms, her posture firm but not aggressive. My name is Lena Kravchenko. I take care of your mother. A flicker of accusation passed through her gaze. Maxim felt a heat rising in his chest. Take care of her. Why? She didn't blink. Because no one else would. 2 years ago, she simply said, a stroke. Her left side paralyzed. She barely gets out of bed now. The ground felt like it had vanished beneath his feet. Maxim instinctively grabbed the porch railing, his breath catching in his throat. A stroke? Why didn't anyone tell me? Lena just shrugged. Who was there? To tell you never left an address? Never called? No one even knew if you were alive. Every word from her lips hit him like a lash. Maxim clenched his teeth. Who was she to judge him? I want to see my mother, he said, forcing his voice to remain calm. Lena stepped aside to let him in. Go ahead. But she doesn't always recognize people anymore. Early stage dementia. Sometimes he gets aggressive. Don't take it personally. Maxim nodded and stepped through the doorway of the house he'd fled from on a freezing October night 16 years ago. Inside, the air smelled of medicine and herbs. Time meant nothing like the bitter stench of alcohol that haunted his childhood. He kicked off his shoes without thinking. Not because it was a house rule, there had never been such things here, but out of some old village habit learned in homes kinder than his own. He moved into the living room. His eyes immediately landed on the old dresser, the only decent thing left from his father. On top were photographs, and among them a school portrait of himself he had long forgotten. His gaze froze on another photo, aged and simple, in a plain wooden frame, a middle-aged man and a young woman, his mother, smiling. That smile, that face. He barely remembered her like this. She looked truly happy. The man beside her he didn't recognize. And yet, Something about his features felt oddly familiar. Maxim picked up the photo, studying their faces. A raspy voice called from the next room, "Lena, that you?" Lena stepped in quietly, gently took the photo from his hands, and placed it back on the dresser. Her expression briefly hardened. She gave Maxim a silent warning look. "Yes, Anna Petrovna," she replied, loud enough to carry into the other room. "You have a visitor." "A visitor, the neighbor again. Tell her I'm not home." The voice, though hoarse, still carried the same sharpness, the same bitter edge. Maxim felt a lump rising in his throat. He took a deep breath and walked toward the bedroom. The room was small and clean. A bed by the window, a nightstand with pills. A dusty old TV in the corner. And in the middle of it, all his mother, but not the woman from his memories. She was frail now, her hair white and neatly brushed, framed a face lined by time. Her left arm rested lifelessly on the blanket. Their eyes met, and for a split second, recognition flickered, then confusion. Then was it fear or disbelief? "Hi, Mom." Maxim's voice trembled. She squinted. "Who are you?" "It's me, Maxim, your son." The woman stared at him for a long time. Her lips curled, not into a smile, but something bitter. "I don't have a son," she said coldly. "Had one, maybe. But he left his mother like a dog and ran." The last words were whispered, more to herself than him. Lena approached the bed. "Anna Petrovna, it's true, this is Maxim. He's come back." "Why?" The old woman's eyes suddenly welled with tears. "To see how I die." To gloat. Maxim took a step back. Instinctively, old wounds once he thought long closed dripped open again, raw and stinging. "I just wanted to see you," he said, bewildered. Wounded. Lena placed a calming hand on Anna's shoulder. "Please, you need to rest. Let me give you your medicine, then maybe you can talk." The sick woman turned to face the wall. "I don't want medicine. I don't want to talk. Let him leave. Let him go back where he came from." Maxim stood there feeling like a small child again, powerless, lost. Everything came rushing back. The pain, the fear, the anger. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Lena quietly approached and touched his elbow. "Come," she said gently. "She just needs time. This is a lot for her." He let her lead him out into the living room. She motioned to the old couch. "Sit, I'll make tea." Maxim sank onto the couch, dazed. In the kitchen, the sound of clinking dishes drifted in mundane, domestic. And yet, strangely comforting. A few minutes later, Lena returned with 2 steaming cups. "Here," she said, handing him one, "mint and honey. Helps in moments like this." He accepted it, noting the calluses on her fingers. "Working hands, gentle hands." "You never answered me," he said quietly, sipping. "Why are you taking care of my mother? Are you family?" Lena shook her head slowly. "No, it just happened this way. My father and your mother knew each other. After my father passed and your mother fell ill, it felt right to help her." Something in her voice made Maxim uneasy, like the truth was only half spoken. His eyes wandered back to the photograph on the dresser, a black and white snapshot, a man standing beside his mother. "That man with my mother, is that your father?" Lena tensed, if only for a second, then nodded. Yes, they were friends, back in their youth. "Friends," Maxim repeated silently to himself. Interesting choice of words. "Where are you staying?" Lena asked quickly, steering the conversation away. "Nowhere yet. I just got here. You can spend the night here. Your room is almost untouched." Maxim let out a quiet, almost disbelieving chuckle. "My room? I didn't think it still existed." Lena stood. "Come, I'll show you. I air it out sometimes. Clean up, just in case. Just in case." The phrase echoed in his mind like a whisper. She expected him to come back. His old room really did seem frozen in time. The faded wallpaper, the worn-out desk, it was all still there, except for the bed. The sheets were fresh, tucked perfectly, and on the floor a new rug. "Thanks," he murmured, not looking at Lena. "No need." She paused in the doorway. "Dinner's in an hour. Don't worry about your mother. I'll take care of her." When she left, Maxim sat down on the bed and looked around. Years had passed, yet here he was again, in the very house he once ran from, heart pounding and desperate. Outside, rain tapped lightly against the window, like soft fingers asking, "Why did you come back? What do you think you'll find here?" He peered through the glass. In the distance, a crumbling brick building loomed, its roof half collapsed. The old Coco's office, he thought. If his memory served him right, a strange curiosity sparked inside him. What had become of it? His thoughts danced to a reckless rhythm. What if? No, not now. This wasn't the moment to chase business ideas, but still, looking at that forgotten ruin, he didn't see failure anymore. He saw opportunity. Maxim didn't know exactly why he'd returned, but for the first time in years, he felt like he was in the right place, as though every road he'd taken to escape his past had looped back to this point to fix something, or maybe to begin again. Morning came quietly. No city noise, no traffic. Only the distant crow of a rooster and the rhythmic tap of rainwater sliding off the eaves. Maxim opened his eyes, lying still for a moment. Where was he? The cracked ceiling, the old wallpaper, the patchwork quilt. It all felt both foreign and heartbreakingly familiar. The memories returned slowly. The road to Beryozovka, seeing Lena again, His paralyzed mother. He winced, sat up, and stretched. His sleep had been restless, and a dull unease hummed in the back of his mind. Through the window the village looked fresher, cleaner after the night's rain. Smoke curled from chimneys. A few people moved between houses. Far off beyond the trees, the roof of that same abandoned building caught his eye once more. The house was quiet, except for footsteps, soft, measured. Maxim slipped on jeans and a sweater, reminding himself to fetch his suitcase from the car. As he stepped out of the room, he caught the sound of Lena's voice drifting from his mother's room. "And the weather's better today, Anna Petrovna. Maybe later we'll sit outside, enjoy the sun. Here, take your medicine." Maxim hesitated at the doorway, then quietly made his way down to the kitchen. It was almost unrecognizable. No clutter, no empty bottles, just tidy surfaces, clean curtains, and even a pot of blooming geraniums on the WINDOWSILL. Not the kitchen of his childhood. "Good morning." Lena appeared so suddenly he jumped. In the morning light she looked younger, softer, wearing a simple dress, her hair pulled into a loose bun, no makeup, no mask. "Morning," he nodded. "How's my mother better?" She took her medicine, even ate a few spoonfuls of porridge. Lena moved past him and busied herself at the stove. "Coffee or tea?" "Coffee if you have it." He sat at the table, studying her. Her movements were confident, like someone who'd done this 100 times. With care, not obligation. "Listen," he began, voice low. "I just want to understand." She glanced over her shoulder. "All of this," he gestured around the kitchen. "Why are you taking care of my mother? It's not work, and it's not charity." She set a mug in front of him. "Why do you assume it's not out of kindness? Because people don't spend years caring for strangers, especially not difficult people like my mother." Something shifted in her expression, a subtle change, like a door quietly closing. "I told you, our fathers knew each other. It's complicated." "Then tell me." "I've got time." She looked away. "Not now. You should go see your mother. She's conscious today. Maybe you two can talk." He wanted to press, but there was steel in her voice now. Now's not the time. Something inside him whispered. He finished his coffee. "I'll grab my things from the car, then check on her," he thought. The crisp morning air helped clear his mind. Dew sparkled on the grass under the soft glow of the rising sun. A faint scent of chimney smoke drifted over the village, calm, almost too calm. As Maxim walked to the car, he caught the curious stares of two elderly women chatting by a neighbor's fence. In a small village, word spreads like wildfire, no doubt. By now, everyone knew Maxim Mironov, the wayward son of Anna Petrovna, had returned. He opened the trunk and pulled out his suitcase, hesitating for a moment. Maybe he shouldn't have come back. Maybe there was still time to leave before he got pulled in too deep. But the image of his mother, frail, hollow-eyed, barely hanging on, had etched itself into his soul. And then, there was something else. Something he couldn't shake. Perhaps it was Lena. Those clear eyes, that quiet strength, a loyalty that lingered in every movement she made. Heading back toward the house, a sudden voice cut through the stillness. "Mironov, is that really you?" He turned. A sturdy man in his 60s stood nearby, a shovel in hand. At first Maxim didn't recognize him. But then, memory stirred. Stepanovich, the former head of the village collective farm. He'd known Maxim's father once. "Hello," Maxim said cautiously, stepping closer. "Well, I'll be." The man grinned, revealing a chipped tooth. "They said you'd gone full city boy." "How's my mother?" Maxim asked. "I just got in yesterday," he added. Stepanovich shook his head, eyes dimming. "It's a shame about Anna, a real woman. She was, honestly, when Lena showed up I thought it was too late. Your mother was barely making it through the day. Weeks on end she wouldn't even sober up." Maxim's expression darkened. "Weeks? I thought it all started after the stroke." No. The drinking came first, the stroke hit later. Probably stopped taking her meds. That's what did her in. By the time Lena arrived, Anna couldn't even get to the bathroom on her own. "Wait, Lena came after the stroke?" "Sure did." The man nodded, studying Maxim closely. "You didn't know?" "Mikhaili called her father. Told her to come right away." Maxim froze. He almost dropped the suitcase. "Mikhaili Pozniakov. But he died." Stepanovich nodded again. 3 days before she got here, almost like he knew. Told her to come, but he didn't live to see her arrive. Lena's been on her own since. The silence hung heavy. Maxim's thoughts raced. "Come on in. We shouldn't talk out in the street like this," Stepanovich offered, motioning toward his house. "I remember it." Maxim gave a faint smile. "But I can't right now. I need to get back to my mother another time." Then, as he made his way back, the conversation spun in his mind. Mikhaili Pozniakov, he was the man in that photo with his mother, the one he'd found in her drawer. A neighbor from the next village, who used to visit often when his father was still alive. So he brought his daughter to care for Anna. But why? What was the connection? When Maxim reached the house, Lena was just leaving his mother's bedroom. "She's waiting for you," she said softly. "But don't tire her out too much." She paused. "And don't take it personally if she's harsh. The illness makes her irritable." Illness or something else, Maxim wondered, but nodded. He stepped into the room, closing the door behind him. His mother turned at the sound of his footsteps. Her gaze, surprisingly clear, met his. "My son," she whispered. Just one word, and it pierced straight through his chest. "You really came back." Maxim sat down on the edge of the bed. "Yeah, Mom, I'm here." Her voice held none of the bitterness he remembered, just quiet sincerity. "But why?" "I don't know," he admitted. "Maybe it was time." She tried to sit up, wincing in pain. "Let me look at you. You've lost weight. And your eyes. Something's wrong." Maxim gave a faint, bitter smile. Even at death's door, his mother was brutally honest. "The business collapsed. My partner ran off with all the money. Banks are on my back, accounts frozen." Anna Petrovna gave a dry, almost amused exhale. "And you're hiding here." "I'm not hiding. I needed time, and I wanted to see you." "You've seen me now." She squinted, disappointed. Maxim didn't answer. "You were right to stay away," she murmured suddenly. "I was never much of a mother. Your father used to say I'd break you with my temper. Maybe he was right." "Do you remember him?" Maxim asked carefully. "The doctors said your memory old memories." "Yes. Ask me what I ate yesterday." "No clue." She waved it off. She began coughing, a dry, rattling sound. Maxim quickly helped her take a sip of water. "Mom, I wanted to ask about Lena. Everyone wants to talk about her," she cut in. "Good girl, not like I was." "What does that have to do with you?" I just want to know why she's taking care of you." Anna Petrovna closed her eyes, tired. "Later I'm worn out." Maxim understood, but there was one question he couldn't let go of. "Tell me, what was Mikhail Pozniakov to you?" Her eyes snapped open wide, alert, and filled with sudden fear. "Who told you about him?" she asked, her voice tight. "It doesn't matter, I just want to know," he said. She turned away, staring at the wall. "He was a good man. That's all, now go. I need to rest." Maxim stood there for a moment, uncertain, then quietly stepped out into the dim hallway. In the living room, Lena was sorting through a scattered pile of medications. "How is she?" she asked without looking up. "She'll be fine. But I need to talk to you." Lena finally met his eyes. "About what?" "About your father. About Mikhail Pozniakov and why you came to my mother's house." Her hands froze. His face shifted just slightly, but enough that the mask she'd been wearing cracked. "All right," she said softly. She stood up. "But not here. Let's go for a walk. I want to show you something." They walked along a narrow path, the road still glistening from the rain, heading toward the decrepit building Maxim had seen from his window. It loomed in the distance, silent, abandoned. "It used to be the village council building," Lena explained. "Later turned into a small flax processing plant. But even that shut down about 5 years ago. Now it just sits there like a ghost from better times." Then she spoke again, her voice low and unwavering. "My father was in love with your mother all his life. Even after he married mine, he never stopped loving her." Maxim stumbled, though the ground was flat. "That's what he told me before he died," she continued. "They met when they were young, before your father ever came into the picture. But something went wrong." He walked in silence, the weight of her words settling heavily in his chest. "When I came here, your mother was already very ill," Lena said. "My father had passed before I could see him. His final request was that I stay with Anna Petrovna, that I don't leave her. He said he owed her something. I didn't understand what he meant. I still don't, but I gave him my word." We stopped and turned to face him. Her gaze was steady. "And I'm keeping that promise." That's the whole story. They had arrived at the rusted gates of the factory. Through the shattered windows, the remains of long-dead machines loomed like skeletons of the past. "No," Maxim whispered. "That's not all. 2 years. You've been here for 2 years. That's more than a deathbed promise. Something else is keeping you." Lena studied him in silence. Then she looked back at the factory. "Maybe," she said, "but that is a different story." She turned and walked back toward the village, her steps light but purposeful. Maxim watched her go, a strange whirlwind of thoughts and emotions brewing inside him. Something told him this was just the beginning. The story ran deeper, much deeper than anyone had let on. His eyes drifted back to the abandoned factory. Despite the decay, the structure was solid. The rusted metal still held strength, like secrets waiting to be uncovered. "I wonder who owns it now," he thought, and for the first time in years he felt that familiar jolt in his chest, the rush, the thrill. The feeling that once drove him to build his own business from scratch. But this time, it wasn't business that filled his mind. He caught up to Lena, walking beside her in silence, stealing glances at her profile, those eyes like a summer sky, so calm yet unreadable. Who was she, really, and what secret bound her so tightly to the past of his family? That night, the rain didn't stop. It pounded on the roof like a restless spirit, echoing the chaos inside Maxim's mind. He tossed and turned in the narrow bed, trying to fit the puzzle pieces together. Lena's father, in love with his mother. Mikhail Ych, the same man Maxim barely remembered, a familiar face from childhood gatherings, now suddenly revealed as someone who carried a quiet, unspoken longing. What did that mean for him, for Lena? As dawn approached, the storm finally eased, and for a moment, Maxim drifted into a restless sleep. A soft knock woke him. "Maxim, wake up." Lena's voice urgent, shaken. It's Anna Petrovna, she's worse. He jumped up, pulling on his jeans, rushing into the hallway. From the bedroom came ragged, painful gasps. The smell of medicine mixed with something else, something sterile, sorrowful, the scent of suffering. Lena was by the bed, wiping the old woman's forehead with a damp towel. Anna Petrovna twisted and turned, her face flushed, her eyes glazed and feverish. What's happening? Maxim asked, his throat tight. Her fevers spiked. It's 40, Lena replied calmly, though fear flickered in her eyes. I called the doctor. He said he'll be here in an hour. Help me. We have to keep her cool. She handed him the towel. Next hour passed in a blur. They worked in silence, one replacing compressors while the other helped her drink, turning her when she struggled to breathe, sitting by her side, whispering comfort at some point. Maxim realized, maybe for the first time in his life, he was truly taking care of his mother. The doctor finally arrived, an older man with a worn face and a tattered case. He examined Anna Petrovna, gave her an injection, and sighed. Pneumonia, most likely. At her age, it's serious. What should we do? I'm leaving you some medicine. Stick to the schedule, but if she doesn't improve by evening, call the ambulance. She needs a proper hospital with real equipment. Lena walked the doctor out. When she returned, Maxim took one look at her pale, exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, her hair a mess, her hands trembling. And yet, something in her stirred something deep in him, a quiet, unexpected admiration, a tenderness he hadn't known was there. You're exhausted, he said gently. Go rest, I'll stay with her. Lena shook her head gently. No, I'm fine. But if you really want to help, make some coffee. Everything's in the kitchen. As Maxim busied himself with the old copper cess, his thoughts spun like leaves in the wind. Fragments of memories surfaced: how his mother used to make him drink warm milk with honey when he was sick, how she'd tuck him in under the blanket, all the way up to his chin. That was before the alcohol, before the chaos, maybe buried somewhere deep inside. She was still that woman who knew how to love. Lena stepped quietly into the kitchen and sat down at the table. Her breathing had steadied. She seemed calmer now. Maxim placed a cup of coffee in front of her, noticing how her hand still trembled slightly. You've been taking care of her for 2 years, he asked, sitting across from her. How do you manage? She gave a faint, tired smile. You get used to things. Besides, Anna Petrovna and I have a sort of arrangement. What kind of arrangement? Lena wrapped her fingers around the cup as if trying to draw warmth from it. On her good days, she tells me stories about the past, about your father and mine, about when they were all young, and on the bad days I endured her moods. She shrugged. It's a fair trade. Maxim felt a sting of guilt. He had spent so long blaming his mother for everything she put him through that he never once considered her life, her past, her scars. What did she tell you about my father? Lena hesitated, weighing her words. That he was talented, but restless, couldn't sit still. She says you're like him. Maxim smiled faintly. I always thought I took after her, just as stubborn. Lena looked up, and for a brief moment, there was something soft in her eyes. I think you took the best from both of them. An absurd thought crossed Maxim's mind, out of place, ridiculous. He wanted to lean in and kiss her. He pushed it away just as quickly and stood up to take his cup to the sink. I should head into town, he said, his voice more brisk than he intended. Pick up a few things from the hotel. Go, Lena said gently, raising her hand to stop his protest. I've done this alone before. She'll sleep for a few more hours after the injection. You need the air. He hesitated, but her calm assurance left little room to argue. All right, I'll be back in 3 hours. For at most, the drive to the regional center took about an hour. The town, if one could even call it that, greeted him with cracked asphalt, puddles, and rows of bleak 2-story buildings. People moved quickly, not making eye contact. After picking up his things and settling his bill at the modest hotel, he felt a pull, something he hadn't fully admitted even to himself. The old flax factory on the edge of Beryozovka. The idea had been gnawing at him for days. What if he could actually bring it back to life, create jobs, rebuild something that mattered? Use his skills for something other than damage control. It was better than going back to the city, where only debts and possible charges awaited him. The head of the local administration was a compact man with sharp eyes and a quick stride. Maxim introduced himself without fanfare and went straight to the point. I'm interested in the abandoned flax plant in Beryozovka. Who owns it? The man raised his eyebrows, clearly surprised. The flax plant? It's municipal property. No one's shown any interest in it for the past 10 years. Who are you, if you don't mind me asking? Maxim Mironov, Anna Petrovna's son, from Beryozovka originally. I have experience in business, and I'm considering restoring the factory. The man studied him carefully. You're serious? The building is a wreck. Infrastructure's mostly gone. Equipment's been stripped for parts. I'd like to see it officially, with documentation. He shrugged. You can, sure, but I'm warning you, it'll take millions to bring it back. I know how to attract investors. Well then, the man smirked, but opened a filing cabinet anyway. Here's the paperwork. If you're really serious, fill out an application. Just no others have tried. None succeeded. Maxim took the folder and began flipping through it. Something in the administrator's words stirred something in him, not doubt, but challenge. Maybe that's what he needed. Something to fight for again. On the drive back, his mind was buzzing. In the glove box were copies of the factory's documents. In his head, a dozen strategies for reviving it. Step 1. Assess the building's condition. Step 2. Build a business plan. Flax was back in demand. Eco-textiles were hot. If he could just find the right partners. His thoughts were interrupted by the sudden ringing of his phone. He pressed the speaker button. Yes, it was Lena. Her voice was tight, urgent. Maxim, are you close? Anna Petrovna's worse. The doctor says she needs to go to the hospital, but she's refusing to go unless you're here. I'm almost there, just entering the village. 10 minutes tops. He pressed the gas pedal, the engine growling in response as his heart pounded like a war drum. Why now? Why? Just when he had finally started to reconnect with his mother, just when there was a flicker of hope for something new. Maxim burst into the house and immediately felt the weight in the air. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. A doctor stood over the bed, adjusting the floor. Lena was packing things into a small bag with quick, practiced movements. His mother lay motionless, her skin pale, lips tinged blue. Her breathing was shallow, labored. What happened? Maxim rushed to the bedside. Her condition's taken a turn for the worse, the doctor said grimly. She needs to be hospitalized immediately. I called the ambulance, but it's not coming fast enough. You'll have to take her yourself, Ma. Maxim. Her voice was faint, struggling to form his name. She looked at him, eyes hazy but trying to focus. I don't want to go to the hospital. I want to stay here. Mama, you need this. You'll get better. We'll bring you back. She slowly shook her head. And in her eyes there was something else now. Fear, or was it acceptance? I won't come back. I feel it. Maxim felt his heart squeeze in his chest. He took her hand, hot, dry, fragile, and held it tight. I'll wait for you. We'll talk about everything. About the past and the future. A ghost of a smile flickered across her lips. You always were stubborn, she murmured. Just like your father. 30 minutes later, the SUV was speeding down winding country roads. Maxim sat in the back, cradling his mother's head in his lap, holding up the four-bag, eyes locked on her pale face. Lena was at the wheel, focused. Calm, a quiet strength radiating from her. She drove as if this wasn't her first time saving. Alive, hold on, Mama, Maxim whispered. We're almost there. Anna Petrovna opened her eyes weakly, surprise flickering in them, surprised that her son was still there, still holding on. Her gaze cleared. With effort she spoke. Forgive me, Maxim, for everything. His throat tightened. And you forgive me for leaving you, he choked. Don't blame yourself. I would have run from a mother like me. Her eyes closed again, and for one terrifying second he thought she was gone, but no. Her chest still rose, shallow but steady. She's good, Lena, she whispered suddenly, eyes still shut. Not like me. Don't talk. Save your strength. But she continued, her voice distant, fading. They didn't let us be together. Mikhaili and I, then your father. I thought I could forget with him. Maxim looked up, catching Lena's eyes in the rearview mirror. She glanced at him for a heartbeat, then back to the road. What had his mother just revealed? That she and Lena's father had loved each other, but someone had stopped it. We're here, Lena called out, turning sharply toward the hospital's emergency entrance. Everything after that felt like a dream or a fog. Orderlies rushing with a stretcher, fluorescent lights blinding him, paperwork, signatures, phone calls, questions, then silence. His mother was taken into intensive care, and he and Lena sat outside, side by side on stiff hospital chairs. Numb. Thank you, Maxim finally said, the words scraping out of his throat. If it weren't for you. Lena gave him a soft, tired smile. Don't thank me. I just did what had to be done. No, not just that. He reached for her hand. She didn't pull away, but her eyes drifted suddenly distant. What you said yesterday about your agreement with my mother, that's not the whole truth, is it? She was quiet for a moment. Then finally, your mother. She was my father's first love, his real love. He married my mother out of duty, but he never forgot Anna, not for a day. So, that's why you take care of her out of love for your father. Lena shook her head slowly. Not just that. There's more, but not now. First we wait for the doctor. Maxim wanted to ask, to push further, but just then the doors to the ICU swung open. A weary-looking doctor stepped out. Both of them jumped to their feet, bracing for the worst. The patient's condition has stabilized, the doctor said, and for the first time in hours Maxim let himself breathe. The treatment has started, said the doctor, but her body is severely weakened. The next 24 hours will be critical. They drove back in silence. Twilight was falling outside, the road winding through rolling hills. Maxim was now behind the wheel, occasionally glancing at Lena, who stared thoughtfully out the window. Her profile, etched against the dark glass, looked like something painted with the finest brush, delicate, quiet and mysterious. What tied her to his mother beyond the ancient affection between their parents? What was she hiding? And why? The more he got to know her, the stronger the pull he felt toward her. A connection he couldn't explain. As they neared the house, Maxim realized something unexpected. He didn't want to return to the city ever. Here, in this forgotten corner of the world, beside a woman who seemed carved out of forest mist and silence, beside a mother he was only now beginning to truly know, he felt like he belonged. As if reading his thoughts, Lena turned to him and asked softly, "You're not leaving, are you?" "I'm staying," he said simply. And for the first time in years, he felt absolutely certain of his decision. A week passed after Anna Petrovna's hospitalization. 7 long days suspended between hope and despair, between anxious phone calls from the hospital and the growing realization that here in Beryozovka something new was quietly beginning. Morning found Maxim at the kitchen table, surrounded by scattered papers, floor plans of the abandoned flax factory, rough calculations, notes from conversations with village elders who still remembered the hum of machines and the smell of fresh linen. He was so deep in his work that he didn't hear Lena enter. "Good morning." Her voice, soft and warm, made something inside him shift. He looked up and smiled. Already working. In just a week, everything between them had changed. The formal distance, the cautious politeness, it was all gone. Their daily trips to the hospital, caring for the house, late-night talks over tea, it had all drawn them closer. Were they friends now, partners, or something deeper, something unspoken? "Yeah, going over the cost estimates," he said, rubbing his eyes. It's more complicated than I expected. The building needs a full overhaul, and there's no equipment left." Lena leaned over his shoulder to glance at the notes. "That's going to be expensive." He gave a wry smile. "More than I can afford right now. But there are options, grants, loan-interest loans. I spoke to the local council chief. He's promised some support." She sat down beside him, the faint scent of wildflowers from her hair briefly pulling his focus away from spreadsheets and numbers. "But why?" she asked quietly. "You could go back to the city. Start over there." Maxim hesitated. It was a fair question a week ago. Even he wouldn't have believed he'd be seriously considering staying here, starting a business from scratch in a place where even cell signal came and went like the wind. "Maybe I've finally found what I've been looking for," he said, voice low. "Here, I feel real." Their eyes met in that moment. Maxim wanted to kiss her. Everything about her, the calm in her presence, the quiet strength drew him in. But the moment shattered. The phone rang. Lena jumped, grabbing it in a rush. Double quotes. "Yes, I'm listening. Really, that's wonderful. Yes, of course, we'll be there. Thank you." She turned to Maxim, eyes shining. "Your mother's awake. The doctor says the worst is over." Anna Petrovna looked frail, almost translucent, but her eyes were clear, sharp with recognition. She lay in the hospital bed, surrounded by tubes, but smiled weakly as they entered. "There they are," she whispered. "My rescuers. The doctor had said, if it weren't for you, she wouldn't have made it here in time." Maxim sat carefully on the edge of the bed and took her hand. "How do you feel?" "Like a herd of cows trampled over me." She tried to smirk, then coughed. "But I'm alive. Don't think you'll get rid of me that easy." A lump rose in Maxim's throat. Even now she couldn't resist a sharp remark, but in her eyes he saw something else. A tenderness he hadn't noticed before, or maybe had refused to see. "No one's trying to get rid of you," he said softly, squeezing her hand. "We need you." Something flickered in her eyes, doubt mixed with hope. We heard her gaze shifted to Lena, standing quietly nearby. "So, are you two together now?" she asked, smiling. Maxim hesitated. We're friends. Lena's helped me a lot." "Helped us?" Anna Petrovna gave a short chuckle. "Friends. That's a nice word." She coughed again. Lena quickly stepped forward, offering her water. Double quotes. "Thank you, sweetheart," Anna murmured, her voice weak but sincere. "You really are an angel, not like me or him." "Stop it, Mom," Maxim said gently, but in his heart something had already shifted, deep, quiet, and unshakable. Maxim sighed. "The doctor said you'll be feeling better soon, maybe even home in a week," he murmured. But suddenly his mother's expression turned serious. "Maxim, we need to talk, alone." Lena nodded with understanding and gave a soft smile. "I'll wait." In the hallway, as the door closed behind her, Anna Petrovna slowly pushed herself upright against the pillows, her eyes clearer than before. "Son, there's something I need to tell you while I still have my mind." "Mama, please don't. She'll just listen." Her brow furrowed. "You know that Mikhaili, Lena's father, and we once loved each other." Maxim gave a small nod. "Lena told me, but she doesn't know everything." Anna sighed deeply. "No one does." She stared off, as if seeing the past unfold in front of her. "Mikhaili and we were going to get married, but then your father arrived. Handsome, educated, from the city. He swept me off my feet. I was a foolish girl, seduced by pretty words and promises. I left Mikhaili and married your father." She paused to take a sip of water. "Then he left us. Your father just walked away. That's when I realized what a mistake I'd made. By then, Mikhaili had already married someone else. Lena was born. Still, we'd see each other. Quietly, rarely. Not for the reasons you're thinking," she added quickly. "Just to talk, to remember. He was the only one who ever really loved me." Her voice faltered. "I drank, to forget, to stop imagining what could have been." Maxim sat still, his heart pounding. He'd never heard his mother speak this openly, this human. Before he died, she continued, Mikhaili made Lena promise to take care of me. Do you know why? She looked straight at him now. Because he blamed himself. He thought it was his fault your father left us. But what does Mikhaili have to do with Maxim started, confused. Anna gave a bitter smile. Your father found out I was still meeting with He believed there was something going on between us and I didn't deny it, out of pride. So he left. She closed her eyes for a moment, as if the weight of that truth had finally broken through the years of silence. I wasn't the best mother or wife. Maybe not even a good person. But I want you to know this. I never stopped loving you. Not when I drank. Not when I screamed. I just didn't know how to love any other way. No one ever taught me. Maxim sat there, shaken to his core. He couldn't remember the last time his mother had sounded so real, so bare. Mama, wait, I'm not finished. She shook her head. Lena, she's better than I ever was. Don't lose her, and if you choose to stay here, I'll support you. Maybe we can still build something together. Maxim leaned forward and kissed her forehead. I promise I'll stay, and I won't let her go. They sat in silence after that. Words felt too fragile, too soon. He didn't know how to tell Lena any of it yet. It was all too raw, too tangled. His mother had never spoken of his father before, and now this flood of truth. What are you thinking about? Lena asked softly as they neared Berzovka. Maxim's gaze drifted from the road to her face, and then something in him shifted. Pull over. She looked at him, surprised, but obeyed without a word, guiding the car gently to the side of the road. Is something wrong? Instead of answering, Maxim turned to her for a heartbeat. He hesitated. Then he reached out, brushing her cheek with his fingertips. Lena froze, eyes locked on his. I should have done this a long time ago, he said quietly. And then he leaned in, touching his lips to hers. At first she didn't respond, as if she'd forgotten how, but then slowly she kissed him back, hesitant, then deeper, fierce, real. When they finally pulled apart, breathless, Lena's voice trembled slightly. You know, she said, searching his eyes. Before my father died, he told me something strange. He said, fate doesn't just give me a second chance, it gives you one, too. You'll understand when the time comes. At the time, I didn't understand. I thought he was delirious. Maxim gently brushed a strand of hair from her face. And now, he asked softly. Lena smiled, that rare, radiant smile that transformed her face, making it almost otherworldly now. I'm beginning to understand. That evening, as they sat together on the porch, watching the sun sink below the horizon, Maxim decided it was time to share his plans. Tomorrow I'm going into the city, he said. I need to file the paperwork for a state-backed loan. To rebuild the factory. Lena, resting her head against his shoulder, tensed slightly. The same city where you're in trouble? She asked. Maxim nodded. I can't keep running. I need to face the debts, settle things with my former partners. If I'm going to start something new here, it has to be clean. I'm going with you, she said firmly. No, he replied, shaking his head. It could be dangerous. Besides, someone has to stay with my mother. The doctor said she'll be discharged soon. She caught his gaze. You'll come back, promise. He pulled her into his arms, breathing in the scent of her hair. Promise, I finally have a reason to come back. When night fell, they moved inside. Lena brewed tea, while Maxim lit the fireplace. Rain tapped gently against the windows, but the house felt warm, peaceful, like a place that remembered how to heal. It's strange, Maxim said, staring into the flames. Just 2 weeks ago I thought my life was over. The company I spent years building gone, friends turned their backs. The police were on my trail because of my partner's scams. And now, Lena asked in a whisper. He turned to her, the firelight dancing in his eyes. And now, I feel like I've found something far more valuable, like I was chasing the wrong thing all along. She took his hand. You know, she said, I never planned to stay here. I thought I'd take care of Anna Petrovna for a couple of months, keep the promise I made to my father, then return to my life. What kind of life was that? Maxim asked. She had told him almost nothing about herself. Work, a job in a corporate finance department, a tiny apartment, coffee with friends on Sundays. She gave a small shrug, an ordinary life for an ordinary girl. And what changed? Lena looked out the window. Thunder rumbled in the distance. I started to like it here. The quiet nature, but more than that. Something about being with your mother, it touched something in me. The stories she told about the past, about my father, about your family. I started to feel connected to this place, as if I belonged here all along. They sat in silence, each lost in thought. Then Lena spoke again. Maxim, there's something you need to know. She hesitated. It's about that photo, that one on the dresser. My father and your mother, the one where they look so happy. Maxim nodded slowly, unsure of where she was going. When I first arrived, your mother during one of her lucid moments said something strange. She looked at you and said, he looks so much like your father. Same eyes, same jawline. Maxim froze. His heart skipped a beat. What are you saying? She met his gaze. I don't know for sure. Maybe she was confused, but I found something, a letter. Her voice trembled. It was hidden in that very photo frame. A letter from my father to your mother. dated just a month before you were born." She paused, swallowing hard. "In it, he wrote that he would always see you as his son, even if he could never give you his name." The silence that followed was suffocating. Only the soft drumming of rain on the roof and the gentle crackle of the fire dared to break the stillness. "But that means—" Maxim struggled to find the words. Lena finished the sentence for him, her voice barely above a whisper. "That means we might be siblings, half-siblings at least." Maxim shot to his feet, as if the ground beneath him had shifted. "No, this has to be a mistake. My mother would never—" "Your mother never stopped loving my father," Lena said gently, "just like he never stopped loving her." Her words hung in the air like a thunderclap. "Doesn't it explain so much? Why you never looked like your legal father? Why mine, even on his deathbed, begged me to stay here, to care for your mother?" Maxim stood there, unable to speak, as the storm outside raged, echoing the one now building inside him. She hesitated for a moment. "Why did I feel such an inexplicable connection to you from the very first minute?" Maxim sank back into the armchair, stunned. "But we just kissed," he whispered. "Yes," Lena said with a sad smile. "Maybe we both felt a deep connection, so perhaps, but mistook it for something else." Outside, the storm raged on. Thunder cracked so loudly it seemed to shake the entire house. "I need to think," Maxim said, rising to his feet. "I'm sorry, I just need to be alone." He stepped out onto the porch, the cold rain lashing at his face, but he didn't care. His thoughts were a storm of their own, chaotic and overwhelming. If what Lena had just said was true, if Mikhail Pozniakov was really his biological father, then what now? What about the feelings he'd begun to have for Lena? And how could he live with the knowledge that his entire life had been built on a lie? The door creaked open behind him, and he felt Lena's hand rest gently on his shoulder. "Talk to your mother. Find out the truth from her. Then decide," she said softly. Maxim turned to her, eyes brimming with tears. That closeness, what was he supposed to do with it? Lena smiled gently, and there was so much warmth and understanding in that one small expression. "Maybe we were meant to be family, just not in the way we thought." She rose on tiptoe and kissed him lightly on the cheek. "No matter what happens, we both have a home now, and we have each other." He wrapped his arms around her, and they stood there for a long time, together in the pouring rain, on the doorstep of a house that, strangely enough, had become the beginning of a new life. A life they still had to make sense of, but one that, despite everything, felt filled with hope. The first snow came unexpectedly, clean and shimmering. It covered Beryozovka in a white blanket overnight. Maxim stood by the window of the hospital room, watching the snowflakes dance in the air. Behind him, his mother was quietly packing her things. Finally, she was being discharged. 3 days had passed since Lena shared her terrifying suspicion. 3 days in which Maxim hadn't been able to find peace, avoiding Lena, tormented by questions he was afraid to ask. Who was he, really? Who were the people he had called his parents? And most terrifying of all, what truly connected him to Lena? "Are you really going to stay silent the whole way home?" His mother's voice pulled him out of his thoughts. Maxim turned around. Anna Petrovna was sitting on the edge of the hospital bed, noticeably thinner, but her gaze was steady and clear. "I know everything, Mom," he said quietly, "about you and Mikhail, about the letter, about the chance he might be my real father." His mother froze. Her hand mid-fold of her nightgown stopped. "Who told you?" she asked. "Is it true?" He looked her in the eyes, and she let out a long breath and straightened up. "Come here, son. Sit with me." Maxim sat down beside her, and she took his hand. Her fingers, dry and wrinkled, clenched his with surprising strength. "I should have told you long ago, but at first I didn't have the courage. Then, you left." She shook her head slowly. "No, Maxim, Mikhail is not your father." For a second he thought he misheard. "He is not your father," she repeated more firmly. "Your father is the man you've always believed was Alexander Mironov, even if he didn't deserve the title." A wave of relief washed over Maxim, but it was tangled with confusion. "But the letter?" Lena found a letter where Mikhail wrote that he would always think of me as his son. His mother gave a bitter smile. "He loved me all his life, and he loved you, like his own. After your father left us, we had moments of weakness. Mikhail wanted me to divorce, to marry him. He promised to adopt you, give you his name." She paused, but I was too proud, too stubborn. "I thought we could manage on our own." Maxim looked at her hand. It was like seeing her for the first time. Not the angry, drunken woman from his childhood, but a person with a complicated past, with dreams that never came true, and mistakes she'd been paying for her whole life. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" he asked. "At least that he wanted to help us." Anna Petrovna's grip tightened. "Because I was afraid," she admitted. "Afraid you'd hate me even more. That you'd think there was a chance to have a normal life with a good man who would have loved you like his own, and I ruined it." Tears shimmered in her eyes. "But the truth is, I lost him anyway. Mikhail had married another woman. Then Lena was born. We still saw each other occasionally, but it wasn't the same anymore. It was bitter. He had a new family, a different daughter. You grew up so much like your father, so handsome, intelligent, ambitious, and sometimes I took it out on you because of that. I'm sorry." Maxim suddenly embraced her, realizing how fragile she had become. It's okay, he whispered. We'll get through all of this together. Anna Petrovna gently pulled away and looked him straight in the eyes. There's something else, she said quietly. Before his death, Mikhaili didn't tell Lena the whole truth. He was afraid she wouldn't help me if she found out. If she learned that Maxim felt a cold shiver run down his spine, that her mother took her own life. Because of me, Anna Petrovna finished, her voice barely audible. She found out about me and Mikhaili. She followed us, saw us and couldn't bear it. Lena was studying in the city then. She had no idea Mikhaili told her it was just an accident. Maxim recoiled. My God, and you kept silent all this time, took help from the daughter of the woman who... I tried to refuse, Anna said, her eyes flashing with pain. But Mikhaili asked me not to tell Lena. Then he died. And she stayed. She cared for me. And I thought maybe that was my punishment, to see her kindness every day, knowing I didn't deserve it. Maxim stood up, his mind reeling. Lena deserves to know. No, Anna Petrovna flinched toward him, eyes wide. It will destroy her, and living a lie is better. Maxim shook his head. I can't lie to her. She deserves the truth. His mother lowered her gaze. Then do what you must. But please, let me move to the hospital in the city first. I won't be able to look her in the eyes once she knows. Maxim frowned. What hospital? The rehabilitation center, she replied quietly. The district gave me a quota. I can stay there until I fully recover. Then I'll figure out the rest. He felt a wave of resistance rise inside him. You're running away like he did. No, she smiled faintly. I'm giving you and Lena a chance. A life without the shadow of the past. On the way to Beryozovka, silence filled the car. Lena drove, occasionally glancing at the back seat where Maxim sat with his mother. Anna Petrovna stared out the window at snow-covered fields gliding by. Maxim couldn't bring himself to meet Lena's eyes. Now that he knew they weren't related, the feelings he'd buried surged back with full force. But the new truth, his haunting secret, stood between them like an impassable chasm. At home, against all expectations, Anna Petrovna was full of energy. She insisted on being set up in the living room, where she could sit in her armchair and observe the rhythm of the house. Then she asked Lena to bring her an old box of photographs. For the first time in ages, she wanted to revisit the past. Maxim seized the moment when Lena stepped out to make dinner. He sat beside his mother, who was flipping through worn, yellowed photographs, snapshots of joy, heartbreak, moments long gone. I've come up with a plan for the factory, he said, breaking the silence. There's a government support program for agricultural producers. We could get a non-refundable grant to cover a third of the cost. Anna Petrovna nodded, her eyes still fixed on the photographs. This is good. People will have work. Do you really want to leave for that center? Maxim asked directly. His mother lifted her gaze to meet his. Want to know, but it's the right thing to do. Lena needs time. Time to forgive you. Time to build something of her own, free from the weight of the past. And what if I don't want you to leave? She gave a soft, almost wistful smile. 16 years ago, you were desperate to get away from me, and now you don't want to let me go. 16 years ago, I was just a scared kid. Now, I'm a man. I found my way back home, and I want us to try to be a real family. Anna Petrovna slowly shook her head. Talk to Lena first. Tell her everything. Then we'll decide. Just then, the sharp crash of breaking dishes echoed from the kitchen, followed by a muffled gasp. Maxim stood to help, but his mother stopped him. Wait, look at this first. She handed him a photograph. A younger Anna Petrovna stood beside a tall man. Maxim instantly recognized his father. Same dark hair, same broad shoulders. He came back, she said quietly. A year after he left us, he asked for forgiveness. Wanted us to be a family again. But I pushed him away, out of pride, out of pain. Her eyes met his with a fierce honesty. Don't repeat my mistakes, son. When you find your happiness, hold on to it with both hands. Maxim nodded and made his way to the kitchen. Lena stood over the shattered pieces of a plate, but she wasn't picking them up. She was frozen, staring at a yellowed piece of paper in her hands. What is it? Maxim asked. She looked up at him, eyes filled with confusion and something deeper. It's a letter, from my father, to your mother. A real one, not the one I found in the frame. Where did you get it? It fell out of a cookbook when I was looking for a dinner recipe. She held the letter out to him, read it. Maxim took the page. The handwriting was small, but clear. Anya, I know I have no right to ask, but I beg you tell Lena the truth when the time comes. I don't have the courage. My guilt is too heavy toward her, toward you, toward everyone. Masha suspected. I don't know how, but she did. I denied it all, of course, but she didn't believe me. She left. I searched for her for 3 days. And then, that cursed cliff, they say she jumped on purpose. I want to believe it was an accident. She loved Lena. She would never leave her. I lied to our daughter. I told her mother slipped during bad weather. I couldn't tell her the truth. She would have hated me. Maybe hated you too, but now, as I face the end, I feel I have to make it right. Truth always finds its way. Let her hear it from you, not from strangers. Let her understand. There were no villains in this story, just people who made mistakes. Maxim looked up at Lena. You read the whole thing? She nodded, and he saw tears silently tracing down her cheeks. My whole life I lived with a lie. I thought my mother died in a tragic accident. Maybe she did, Maxim said softly, stepping closer. Even your father admitted it might have been an accident. That doesn't matter. Lena turned away. They lied to me all these years, even after death. Maxim gently placed a hand on her shoulder. My mother wanted to tell you. She told me everything today. She's even offered to leave to go to a rehab center in the city so she wouldn't get in the way. Lena spun around. No, she can't. She's afraid, Maxim said quietly. Afraid that you'll hate her, that you won't be able to forgive. Lena lowered her head. I don't know what I feel right now. I need time to understand. Of course, Maxim nodded. But there's one more thing you should know. Your father. He wasn't my biological father. Her eyes flickered with surprise. You're sure? Yes, my mother confirmed it. My real father is Alexander Mironov, the man I always thought was just a friend of the family. Lena turned slowly toward the window. Then, we're not related. No. Silence settled around them, heavy and full. Outside, snow drifted down in thick, quiet flakes. In the kitchen, the only sounds were their breaths and the soft rhythmic ticking of the old war clock. This is all so complicated. At last, Lena spoke quietly. I need to talk to your mother. Maxim himself stepped onto the porch. Twilight was settling over the village, casting a cool blue hue on the snow. He sat on the steps, ignoring the cold, covering his face with his hands. So much had happened in just 2 weeks coming home. Meeting Lena, his mother's illness, secrets from the past, feelings suddenly ignited. It was as if his entire previous life had been leading up to this moment. The creak of the door made him look up. There stood Lena, wrapped in a warm shawl. May I come in? She asked. Maxim nodded and shifted over. She sat beside him, and, for a while, they were silent, watching snowflakes gently fall. I spoke with Anna Petrovna, Lena finally said. It was not an easy conversation. Maxim watched her, afraid to ask what she had learned. She told me everything, Lena continued. From the very beginning, about their love, your father and her, about how they couldn't be together, about your mother. Her voice trembled. The pain was raw and deep, but somehow, there was something right about it, like a circle closing. What do you mean? Maxim whispered. Lena turned to him. Our parents missed their chance at happiness because of pride, fear, and old prejudices. They spent their lives hiding from the truth, from their feelings. But we can choose differently. Her eyes, deep and endless in the fading light, made Maxim's heart race. I don't want your mother to leave, Lena said firmly. Her place is here, with us. We all make mistakes, but isn't that what coming home is for? To find forgiveness, and start anew. Maxim gently took her hand. But what about us? You and me? Lena leaned in, her lips brushing his softly. We just have to be honest with each other always. No secrets, no silence. I don't want the story of our parents to repeat. He pulled her close, feeling a warmth spread through him, not a blazing fire, but a steady, quiet flame that you longed to return to again and again. You know, he said, pulling away slightly. I was thinking about the factory. We could do more than just process flax. We could start a small business making eco-friendly fabrics. There's a big demand now, and the government supports initiatives like that. Lena smiled bright and open. You want me involved in your business? In our business, Maxim corrected. You have an economics degree and experience in a big company. I have management skills and connections in the business world. Together we can do this. What about your problems in the city? Former partners, debts. Maxim gently stroked her cheek. I still have to go back and sort things out, but now I know for sure I'll come back. This is where I belong, here my family. He caught her gaze. If you don't mind, of course. Instead of answering, Lena kissed him again, this time not hesitantly, but with confidence, pouring all her feelings into that kiss. When they finally pulled apart, Maxim noticed a figure at the window of the living room. His mother was watching them, a smile on her face, the very smile he'd seen in an old photo. When she was young and happy. In that moment, he understood the circle had truly closed. Lena's parents and his mother had missed their chance for happiness, but their children had the chance to fix the past and start fresh. The snow kept falling, blanketing the village in white, a symbol of renewal, cleansing, and new beginnings. They sat on the porch of the house, which had transformed from a place of pain and bitter memories into the starting point of their shared future. And that future felt full of hope. Dear listeners, how did you like the story? Show your support with a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Share your thoughts in the comments. That's the best way to inspire us to create more for you every day. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and be happy.